there any question in your mind that you're the biological father of this child?
There has been in the past. I've kind of wavered back and forth. It's slightly more reinforced than it has been in the past.
For the record, this matter is before the court for a pretrial conference. The same is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Michael Keeney representing the plaintiff, Justin Klazynski. Mr. Klazynski appears to be present with Mr. Keeney. Also present is the defendant, Mother Heaven Cooper Cox. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Your Honor.
This is a paternity complaint. So we need to address the issue of paternity this morning in any order. Mr. Keeney, if the court understands the allegations correctly, that Mr. Klazynski is the alleged biological father, but we have a presumed father. Is that correct? Namely, this minor child at issue, this 2.5-year-old, was born out of wedlock.
Correct, Your Honor. And at this point, it seems like both of the parties agree that my client is the biological father of the minor child in question, and both are willing to move forward and agree as much.
Okay, so Ms. Cooper Cox is still married to the presumed father?
Yes.
Okay. There's no divorce action, so there's been no motion to revoke paternity in that case?
And so, Your Honor, I apologize. I don't know whether Ms. Cooper Cox's marriage came prior to the birth of the minor child in question, and I would ask her to elaborate on that.
Right. Ms. Cooper Cox, the child in question is 2.5
Micah.
years old. Was this child born during your marriage to a third party?
No. I got married in 2024, early in January.
I'm sorry, what's your date of marriage?
January 4th, 2024.
Oh, okay. So this child was born 2.5 years before your 2 years before your marriage.
Yes.
So you were single. You were not married at the time that the child was born. Is that correct?
No.
And Mr. Klazynski was not listed on an affidavit of paternity at all? When he didn't sign any paperwork at the hospital?
No,
Forth
he
the
was
name of the father.
present.
Okay. And has Mr. Klazynski treated this child as his biological child for the past 2 years, Mr. Keeney?
Your Honor, the parties were living together for approximately 6 months after the birth of the child. At that time, he was treating the child as his biological child. They were cohabitating. They were attempting to make things work, and then unfortunately the parties did separate, and he has not had access to his child since approximately May of 2022. He did go to the court to try to start a paternity and custody case, but unfortunately faced some roadblocks, and that's when he came to our office last year. However, it is his intention to be an active part of this child's life.
Okay. Ms. Cooper Cox, do you acknowledge that Mr. Klazynski is the biological father of this child?
Yes.
You absolutely, and the court can always order DNA testing. Of course, there's if in fact there's any question.
He's 100% Justin's.
All right, so perhaps we can address that through some sworn testimony, Mr. Keeney, then we can limit the need for DNA testing, particularly now that the court understands that this child was not born out of wedlock, that in fact Ms. Cooper Cox was not married at the time the child was born. Ms. Brown, perhaps we can address that because that at least stop the court's clock. We have a finding of paternity today, so perhaps we can somewhere in there you go into the per the sworn testimony of the parties, the court determines that the plaintiff is in fact the biological father of the minor child, Micah.
I did make note on the recommendation that he acknowledges paternity of the minor child. There should be a recommendation in your queue, Judge.
Yes, I do see that, but we need to also include the issue of paternity in that recommendation.
Correct. The very last line, I put that he acknowledges paternity.
Oh, I do see that. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Was that in there originally, or was that added?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry. I didn't
That's
scroll
okay.
all the way down. Thank you. All right. Before we take some sworn testimony, Mr. Keeney and Ms. Cooper Cox, the court notes you confirmed with Ms. Brower from the front of the court this morning. She's provided the court with a fine recommendation. that the court determined that the plaintiff father is in fact biological father of the minor child Micah. The parties shall mediate the issues of custody and parenting time on August 15th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. with Mr. Josh Walker via Zoom, and the subsequent appear before the court for a continued review. The issue of child support shall be referred to the front of the court for investigation recommendation with an effective date of July 1st, 2024, but either side would have 21 days in which to object to any recommendation of the amount of child support. However, the commencement date would be July 1st. If either party files an objection to the amount being recommended, the matter will come back before the court for a hearing. Otherwise, it would take effect July 1st, 2024. In the interim, father shall have supervised parenting time at family counseling and shelter services. This proposed order does have their phone number. Both parties should contact the agency as soon as possible, preferably this week, if not today. The circuit court fund shall pay for the intakes, father shall pay for the visits. There's a waiting list right now, so both get called. Do you have their phone number, Ms. Cooper Cox?
I was given it, yes.
Okay, so call today to schedule to conduct the intake. So the sooner you get on the waiting list, the better. Obviously, that's appropriate time to you have a third party, a therapist that will view the interaction between father and child to make sure that we can properly develop this, nurture and reestablish this father-son relationship. So that is the recommendation. Mr. Keeney, is this recommendation agreeable with your client this morning?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Cooper Cox, do you understand the recommendation this morning?
Yes, Your
Do you
Honor.
have any objection to the court adopting this recommendation?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Cooper Cox, Mr. Klazynski, can you both please raise your right hand to be sworn, please? Do you both solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Keeney, if you're going to begin with your client, please, in terms of not in agreement, but more particularly addressing the issue of paternity, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Did you hear what the judge read off in terms of the recommendation today? And especially related to the biological or your paternity of your son, Micah?
Yes.
Go ahead and speak up.
Yes.
Thank you. And so you are agreeing that Micah is your biological child?
Yes.
And are you willing to have an active role in Micah's life moving forward?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you understand the recommendation that the judge read off?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about it?
No.
Do you believe this is in your child's best interest to adopt that recommendation?
Yes.
And it's also in your best interest?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Klazynski, is there any question in your mind that you're the biological father of this child?
There has been in the past. I've kind of wavered back and forth. It's slightly more reinforced than it has been in the past.
Well, do you understand you have right to DNA testing? And the court
Yes.
will order DNA testing and to conclusively establish your biological father. Do you want DNA testing?
I'm not sure.
All right, court's gonna order DNA testing on this matter. And Mr. Klazynski, you'll need to, I don't know if you have to pay for that. It's about $500. Again, it's not fair to this child when we have a parent that's not sure if they're the biological father. We're not gonna go back and forth in this matter. So, no, the court's gonna order it. Mr. Klazynski, you're hesitating, you're wavering, you're not sure, so we're gonna order this.
Okay.
If you're still there, the court's going to, before we start any parenting time, let's address the issue of paternity. Mr. Keeney, is your client able to pay for the DNA testing?
Your Honor, my client is currently unemployed. He is seeking employment at this time.
Okay. Front of the court is a 4-page list. Mr. Klazynski, you appear to be young and able-bodied. The front of the court is a 4-page list of employers that are screaming for employees. I can get your job today. Washington District, the Michigan Bar. Check Jack's Lawn Service. There's a lot of employers out there screaming for employees. So you should be able to get a job for the end of the week, Mr. Klazynski. You need to be motivated. So come down to the front of the court, go to the front window, and they got a 4-page list that they update every month. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Keeney, in the past, we've talked about over-the-counter DNA tests. What's your thought about that?
Your Honor, I believe that would be fine. I believe since the parties seem to agree, my client's hesitation is just minimal at this point. I believe over-the-counter testing would be sufficient, and we would be able to go ahead and conduct that test here in my office. And if Ms. Cooper Cox wants to witness over Zoom or over a Google meeting, I can certainly give her access to do so as well.
Okay. It's just a cotton swab test from saliva, Ms. Cooper Cox. It's not invasive. How long do you think that will take, Mr. Keeney, so we can set another review or pretrial on this matter?
So those do take a while, Your Honor. It's been my experience that they take 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. How much do the over-the-counter cost test? How much do they cost? Any idea?
Yes, Your Honor. The tests typically cost anywhere between $50 and $100. However, to have the test examined and for the results to be produced, it usually costs a couple $100 more, for the total amount being approximately $300.
Right. Mr. Klazynski, you need to go out, reach out to family and friends. We can't drag this case out for months and months. You've got to get that, purchase that DNA test over the counter from CVS, or maybe Mr. Kinney can guide you in that regard, and you need to submit that for testing. So the courts just reach out to family and friends. So what do you want to set this one, 45 days, Mr. Keeney? The court, and Mr. Klazynski needs to move on this matter. Otherwise, dismiss it and we can refile when he's got that testing.
Yes, Your Honor, that's perfectly acceptable if we want to revisit the issue of DNA testing within 45 days.
Okay, I just give him a date. We're doing about pretrial date. Okay, this no, I'm just gonna pick a Friday. Okay, Ms. Brown, if you heard, thanks for listening in. Mr. Klazynski's hesitant on not real firm on the issue of paternity, so the court's going to simply we're going to cancel the mediation and everything. We're just simply going to order another continued pretrial and order the parties and submit to DNA. The plaintiff submit DNA testing. Of course, the minor child will also have to be tested. So Ms. Cooper Cox, I suppose you can come to Mr. Keeney's office and get it all done at the same time. That would make the most sense. Mr. Keeney can coordinate that. Bring the child in. It's just a cotton swab inside the test, inside the mouth.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd be open to that if Ms. Cooper Cox would also be open to that.
Okay, we're gonna be here August 2nd. Cindy, can you bring in the calendar, please? So what are you suggesting, Mr. Keeney, the first week of maybe August?
Your Honor, that would be fine.
So your experience is the lab would take 4 to 6 weeks?
It is my experience that it does take a while to actually reach the lab. And the lab themselves usually state that it takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. However, it's been my experience that they're usually completed within 2 weeks of arrival.
Does your client have any idea when he's gonna be able to get the money together?
I can go ahead and consult with him really quickly, Your Honor. And if you can also remind us when DNA testing occurs, I believe it occurs at the courthouse on a weekly basis. Is that correct? Or is it a monthly basis?
We're talking about over the counter though.
Yes, Your Honor. I was just wanting to give my client options to see if the DNA testing that occurs at the courthouse could happen in a quicker manner and it would be more efficient. Then I can mention that to him.
Okay, I don't have that list, but I'm sure if you reach out to front of the court, I don't know if Ms. Brower has a list of when DNA diagnostics come to the courthouse.
It is every other month, the first Thursday of the month, and I believe it is on even months. But I can verify that if the court would like.
No, Your Honor, I think we're fine at this point. If it would be even months, it would mean that the next time it would come would be in August, and that would potentially just push things out even further. So we can move forward with over-the-counter testing, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Brower.
You're welcome.
And Your Honor, I am looking at August's schedule, and if we could potentially have it sometime the week of the 12th or after, that would be preferable.
Well, I'd like to do it the 12th or before. This files, the clock's running.
Yes, Your Honor. So Monday, the 12th is completely open for me, Your Honor.
Okay, what about the end of July? July 26 or something like that.
Thursday, August 1st.
How about are you available August 1st? Thursday? Mr. Keeney?
It looks like our office has availability that day. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's set it for August 1st. Ms. Cooper Cox, we're gonna adjourn this matter to August 1st, 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so the courts will revise we're probably gonna come back with some recommendation when we come back on August 1st, but the court wants there to be DNA testing. So the court will order DNA testing and the parties return to this court for review August 1st, 2024, 9 a.m. via Zoom. Court will
Thank
mail
you.
out notice.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just to confirm, we are suspending the order regarding family counseling and shelter services. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have not adopted the recommendation of Ms. Brower.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
So the sooner we can get DNA testing, even if you have DNA testing, Mr. Keeney, if you want to contact the court, we can always try and move it up too.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Cooper Cox, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, that'll conclude this matter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.